COVID-19 is one of what we call zoonotic viruses. Zoonotic viruses are viruses that are incubating wildlife, wild animals. In some innate form, but then when they get transmitted from wild animals to humans, then they acquire very destructive and fatal attributes. When humans and wild animals stayed apart, there was no problem. But then because we humans started destroying our own environment and then got out of our own environment into the habitats occupied by wild animals and wildlife. So we started destroying their own habitats and interacting then very intimately with them through destroying the environment and their habitats. But we didn't just stop there. We also started feeding on them, right? Feeding on them, trading in them. So I'm sure you've been reading about the huge trafficking, huge wildlife markets in Asia and so on and so forth. So we also started trafficking in them and eating them and then that is what I think it's now fairly agreed. All these zoonotic viruses got transmitted from animals to human beings, and the consequences are just too obvious in some innate form, but then when they get transmitted from wild animals to humans, then they acquire very destructive and fatal attributes. That is a connection between environmental destruction, destroying nature, and COVID-19 and other zoonotic viruses. Obviously then tells us what Wangari Maathai had warned us, but we never listened, or chose not to listen. That you destroy nature at your own peril. With the pandemic with us, it has affected the environment in a major ways. COVID-19 has had positive, it has had very negative effect on the environment, and that lockdown and slowed industrial activity helped in positive ways in reducing CO2 and greenhouse emissions, and also helped to some extent, at least in the interim, in reduction of global warming. You also saw wildlife getting some breathing space. We had put, as humans, we had put a lot of pressure on wildlife. The positive impact, of course, is only temporary, and countries are now going back into what they call post-COVID recovery processes. I think all of us as globally agree we have to make peace with nature. We have destroyed nature, and nature is destroying us in time. Respect nature, first thing. Protect and conserve environment. Ensure personal hygiene and cleanliness. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts in your bedroom, in your kitchen, in your toilet. So while government must and has to undertake its responsibilities, but we have personal responsibility. And I think now what has COVID-19 has demonstrated beyond doubt is the correlation between environment and health. It's a correlation between environment and life. But then environment is everything. And I think, in a sense, if there is a lesson that now all of us as the globe can learn, is that environment is everything. Environment is life. COVID recovery strategy, similarly, has a huge aspect on green growth and recovery. Whether you're talking in the area of clean energy, you're talking about greening of our infrastructure and transport. You're talking about even green buildings, and so our own infrastructure, our own building designs, and of course, at a livelihood level, even the kazi mtaani. Kenya has substantially, and we are still pushing for more in terms of building back better, but building back greener. That's actually what yes. Take care of God's creation. That's exactly why we were created by God. God created the planet, the earth, put us there as trustees and custodians of God's creation. We have messed it up, and we are suffering the consequences. Wangari Maathai and others saw it a long time ago, warned us. We didn't listen. We thought she was a mad woman. We're suffering the consequences. It's not too late though. We can still and must make peace with nature. It is a joint and shared responsibility. Government would do its part, but everyone, each one of us must do their part. For ourselves, for our children, for our children's children, and generations yet to be born.